I'd like to give to you a little story this morning. Once upon a time, not too long ago, in a bustling little town not too far from here, there lived a curious and bright-eyed 10-year-old girl named Phoebe. Like many kids her age, Phoebe had big dreams, boundless energy, and lots of heart. One early fall morning on her way to school, she saw a billboard that read, "Discover your best self." Phoebe had heard phrases like this many times before. Her parents, her teachers, even the librarian at school would say things like, "You've got so much potential, Phoebe." For some reason this morning, reading that phrase, "discover your best self," made her feel like there was something hidden inside her, waiting to be discovered, something important, magical even. But what is a best self, she thought. Where do I even begin? That afternoon, her teacher, Mrs. Green, noticed Phoebe sitting quietly at her desk, deep in thought. "Everything okay, Phoebe?" she asked gently. "I'm just thinking," Phoebe replied. "I'm trying to figure out, what does being my best self mean?" Mrs. Green smiled and said, "You know, Phoebe, the question you're asking isn't like solving a math problem." Phoebe nodded and asked, "How did you know you wanted to become a teacher?" Mrs. Green's smile got even bigger, and she said, "Well, I had a teacher when I was in 8th grade named Mr. Thomas, and he always encouraged me to ask lots of questions. Keep asking good questions, Phoebe. Keep being curious." So Phoebe smiled and nodded, but deep down, she still wanted more clarity. Surely someone has the answer of how to be her best self. After school, Phoebe walked to the sports fields for her soccer practice. She loved the game, the running, the teamwork, the thrill of scoring a goal. Maybe she could find her best self in playing sports. She worked hard, she practiced hard, she practiced her passes and her stamina, but as much as she enjoyed herself, she couldn't help but notice that some of the other players were faster, stronger, and better than she was. How can I be my best self if I'm not the best? She wondered. After practice, she approached her coach, Mr. Jacobs. "Coach, I'm trying to figure out how to be my best self. You think I could be a famous athlete one day?" Coach Jacobs paused and thoughtfully said, "Phoebe, you've got heart, and that's something that can take you far. But being your best self isn't just about being the best at something. I wanted to be a professional baseball player when I was your age, and my parents told me, 'Good luck.' But I am my best self because I'm doing what I love, coaching you all. It's about growth, becoming better every time you try. If you love soccer, keep at it. But remember, you can be your best self on the field and off the field." The days and weeks went on, and finally Rosh Hashanah had arrived. She spent these last several weeks trying to find her best self in school, in sports, her hobbies, her books, but nothing had given her the clear answer she sought. During services, she was counting the pages in the Machzor, trying to figure out how much time was left before lunch, when she just so happened to hear the rabbi say, "And this is what Rosh Hashanah is all about, finding your best self and becoming your best self." The rabbi continued, "Being your best self isn't about one particular moment. It isn't about a job or a hobby or a passion." In that moment, Phoebe felt that the rabbi was speaking only to her, and suddenly it clicked. Phoebe stood up and raised her hand. The whole congregation turned to look at Phoebe, and she began to blush. The rabbi extended the microphone she was holding, smiling to herself, and said, "Yes, do you have a question?" Stammering for a moment and certainly still blushing, Phoebe gathered herself and said, "Yeah, I have a question. If being your best self isn't about a particular moment or what job I want to do when I grow up or my hobbies or my passions, how am I supposed to discover my best self?" The rabbi paused for a moment, smiled, and said, "Did you see that billboard too?" Phoebe started laughing and said, "I haven't been able to stop thinking about it." The rabbi said, "Me neither." Then, in a moment of mutual realization, Phoebe asked, It's not about being a perfect version of myself, is it? No, I don't suppose it is, said the rabbi. I think discovering your best self is an opportunity in each and every moment, in each and every conversation, in each choice we make, the words we choose, the food we eat, how we treat people, plants and animals, the relationships we make and maintain, what we read or don't read. Discovering our best selves is an every single day kind of thing. Phoebe smiled as she sat down, and although she could hear the murmuring throughout the congregation, there was a peace within her, knowing that in that moment she was her best self. The rabbi continued saying, "That was a first for me," and continued on with the concluding prayers of the service. New year, new me, with each and every opportunity, Phoebe said to herself as she found her place in the machzor. As the new year had officially begun, Phoebe felt excited, not just about soccer or school, but about the opportunities to be her best self in each and every moment. Shana tova.